Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with 3 S's. I'm your host here, Chantele Francis here. Ooh, got the moves going. My co-host, Phil. How you doing?
How we doing?
You're good? You're
How we doing? Good.
Pretty good. I love the shimmy shoulders that we have going on here. Now get us into the groove of something new today. Okay, well, if it's your first time on Reality Realness, well, then welcome. We are very happy to have you. Please join us in the comment section because we love interacting with you. And we are on our way to 1,000 subscribers, and we can't get there without you. So subscribe, please. That would make us feel really awesome. Leave a comment that you just subscribe and start the conversation because we love talking to anybody that's super fans of shows that we are super fans of as well. So we decided to take it upon ourselves to watch The Amazing Race Australia. Now, which season of this? Is it season 6 or is it season 4? Or is it like what season? What's the season?
Look at that. You're like right. You're on the cusp both ways. It's season 5.
Okay. I felt that I couldn't get any accurate information about it. I don't know. Did they start an old season from a long time ago? Or I don't know. I just felt
So there was, I think there was like an original, and then there were 2 seasons that went together, and then I think 2019 had a season, and now 2021. I think the last 2 are a new production on a new channel. It might be channel 4 down there.
Okay, because I was like, the 2? Anyways, I wasn't sure. So thank you for clarifying that this is season 5, and we're going to be talking about the premiere episode of this season. So it's going to be all in Australia. What do you think about it just taking place over Australia? Like, I know that it's, when did they start shooting? Do you know this?
So they did start shooting just after the original COVID restrictions were happening. Now, Australia obviously didn't get hit as bad as other places, but I think it was more of a security thing of not going to countries to keep everybody healthy and just stay in Australia was the plan. So I think it was probably April.
Gotcha.
That they filmed, April,
yeah,
May, maybe.
So I'm glad that we are getting a season of The Amazing Race because we're kind of worried. Like, when are we going to get a new season of at least the U.S. version? We haven't heard anything, or at least I haven't, about the Canadian version. And so I'm happy to be having, The Amazing Race back. But I was just kind of like, okay, but what are they going to do in Australia? But I'm really happy to see that there's so many different terrains.
Oh, yeah.
So many different possibilities. Like, they definitely have many kind of countries in one, with just even just the terrain itself. And they said it's one of the most multicultural places in the world. I knew this, but with seeing their cast, it really showed it to me that it is multicultural.
Yeah, totally. The cast is very, very well casted for diversity, which is really good to see. I hope the US and other Amazing Races are watching that, because that's they're on the right path of how it should be going. So make sure to do that. I was excited to hear that it's just Australia. I went into, when Canada first came out, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna like this, and then I actually really liked it. And I think, I agree. Australia, I mean, I've heard about it having so many different terrains, so much there, like jungles and deserts, and I mean the barrier reef, and there's so much there, so could be good.
Yeah, exactly. I've never been to Australia myself. I know a lot of people love Australia. Many people, I think it's probably because they easily can get a visa to either Canada or a visa to Australia, that there's I've met a lot of people that are doing exchanges, from Australia, and, back and forth, vice versa. So I've heard a lot about it, but I've never really, for myself, had the desire to go there. So it's been really cool for me just to see a little bit about more of what to expect if I were to ever go there. And maybe it's going to make a desired location for me to want to travel to. So I definitely enjoyed it. And I didn't feel like I was missing out on having the diversity of countries. You know what I mean? So.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, hey, right now, nobody's traveling. Save some money. Maybe you'll get to go to Australia.
Exactly. So what were your overall thoughts of the episode? I mean, I know that you're enjoying it being in Australia, but how do you think it went down?
Yeah, I mean, the first episode, it's going to be interesting to watch. I felt the first episode, the challenges weren't too difficult, but they were fun challenges. I think if you were running it, you would be having the time of your life. But yeah, no, I didn't think that they were too challenging. The cast itself, right now I like them. I think that they've got great energy. There's a couple teams that I've already pinpointed, or I'm like, ooh, they could be in trouble. But yes.
Definitely. I agree with you here. I didn't find the task to be too difficult, but it was kind of like when we just did the US version, is that the first episode wasn't too challenging, pretty straightforward, but it still really equalized everybody. Like you saw who was doing well, who wasn't doing well. And I like it kind of allowing teams to get into the groove of the race instead of just like making everybody be terrible and struggle and like not enjoy themselves. So I thought it was a good start to the race. And they're playing for $250,000. So that is a nice.
That's pretty good.
In Canada, how much is our prize? 120, 100,000, 200,000? How much?
A quarter of a million. So
okay,
I think it was. Yeah, I think it's a quarter of a million.
Wait, why haven't I gotten on the Amazing Race yet? Like, why do I care about Big Brother when I should be throwing on the Amazing Race? Like, I guess it's
maybe I'm wrong. I might be wrong with that. I don't know.
Unless there's minutes too, though. So yeah, that's like only be 125,000, which I'll take. But
yeah.
I definitely I'm gonna maybe reconsider where I want to put my energy into for the audition season, you know. So they're gonna have 14 teams that are gonna be racing across Australia. The announcers or the voiceover said it was gonna be the toughest Amazing Race we've ever seen. What do you think about this statement?
I think that's going to be a challenging statement to do. I mean, Australia. I mean, there's some tough things in there, but you know, you and I both know Amazing Race. When we think of tough legs, Australia probably is not one of the top places that come to mind as difficult race locations.
Exactly. Because most people are not going to have the struggle of language necessarily. Like maybe some Aboriginal languages might come into play, but there are people that will be able to adapt to that very easily. I'm not sure personally of any specific communities that are there that maybe there would be a language barrier, but that's when we usually find the breakdown of teams is when they can't communicate. And so that's what I find to make it tough. So maybe toughest terrain, maybe. More like eco challenge as opposed to like Amazing Race kind of challenging, but I'm willing to see it. I'm excited.
There could be some East Asian, because there is a big East Asian, I believe, community, at least in like Sydney, and that so maybe there could be something with like if they like I may remember in Amazing Race Canada, they went to Chinatown in Vancouver, or Calgary or something. So maybe there could be a leg like that where there might be a language thing. Maybe.
Maybe. Exactly. So they're going to be starting in the Daintree Rainforest. I didn't ask though, have you been to Australia before? And is it on your destination list?
Well, I mean, I have friends that live there that I have met. I have some really good friends that I've met through my Survivor game that I host. A couple have come to my wedding, which was great. I have family that are in New Zealand. So it's an area I'd love to go. Haven't been able to quite make it work, but who knows? Who knows?
It's coming.
It's on the list.
It's on the list. So what I kind of did was I was hoping that they would have gone through all the teams in the beginning, but they didn't. So as they were speckling through the episode, I just wrote down the teams on one side. So I'm not sure how this is going to go with the retelling of this episode, just because I was trying to figure out how to single out. But all we know from the beginning is when they get there, and they have the host who's very excited. But you had thoughts about the host?
I thought he was fantastic. I was like, okay, this is a host with some good energy. He's different than the other hosts for the other ones that we've seen. Like he seems to be somebody who doesn't mind to make himself look silly and do funny stuff, which is great.
And do you know if he's been a host of this show
last season? Last season only, yeah.
Gotcha. Do you know his name? I didn't even catch that.
No.
We'll find out for next week. I'm sorry. So their first clue basically was bench or boat to a car. So what would you have chosen at this first kind of decision that we'd have to make if we were running this race? They're going to have to drive to Mossman, the Drumsar station.
Yeah. So, well, when I hear it and like you're thinking boats on a river and the kilometer, I think it was like 3 kilometers versus running on the beach for like 1 kilometer. I was like, well, I would do the boat. That seems like that would make more sense to me. But it doesn't look like it did make the most sense because the beach seemed to be faster. But the boats must have been really slow.
Well, they kind of look like they're like putting along.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I don't know. I probably would have wanted to choose the boat, but I would also think that it's a setup. Like the boat can't be super speed faster if like there's not enough for everybody to be able to get a boat. So people that learned that the hard way were Alex and Jack. They were the last people to the boat. So Alex and Jack are twin models. I don't find that they look the same at all. Like I know I have like a thing with twins because I have a lot of twins in my family, and like I've always been able to tell twins apart. But I don't think they look alike at all. Like for identical.
Yeah, twins. I don't think they're identical twins at least.
I thought he said identical.
Did they? Oh well, I didn't see that either. They look like they have similarity, but I didn't think that they looked like identical twins.
It was bizarre though, because I'm like you look like brothers, but you definitely don't look like twins. I think it was in their noses. Their noses were very different.
Yeah,
is what I thought. So that's was fortunate / unfortunate for them to miss the boat, but they ended up being able to be on a foot race and catch up. They were able to catch up to the teams that were running ahead of them, especially. Who was it now? Safa
and Jessica. Yeah.
So they are a very likable team. They're friends, best friends. They're kind of always taking jabs at each other, self-deprecating humor, talking about their physique and their, their capabilities of endurance and fitness. But I was enjoying them. Like sometimes those teams that are poking fun of each other, like you don't necessarily like it, but I actually find them to be quite charming. How do you like?
I like them. They're probably up on my list of teams that I like. I thought that they were funny. They surprised me this leg. They did very well this leg, so it was good. Definitely.
They put a smile to my face that they, were acting like they were going to be terrible, and they're actually were pretty good.
Yeah.
So first, though, at I guess it would be the Detour. No, it would be Rudy and Fro. Was and Anurag, and they are Super Sikhs. Now, did they name themselves Super Sikhs, or was that the network?
That may have been one of their things to get casted. Maybe like, we'll call ourselves the Super Sikhs or something.
They said a funny pun, and I didn't even catch it, but I did. I thought they did it on purpose. I think it was something like "Seek and you shall find," and I was like, "Oh, are they Sikh?" And then they're like, "Yeah, we're the Super Sikhs," and I was like, "Oh, so they made a pun, but they didn't even catch the pun." Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think they had some good mojo in this thing. They were doing really well. Great energy.
Well, maybe not at the beginning when they got to the way challenge, where basically one person. Okay, so it was in reference to a historical moment in Australia when there was some bombings in that area, I believe. And so one person had to be dressed up as a pilot, like an old time pilot. And then the other person was going to be pulling them on a lever and throwing balls to them as they swung back and forth, and had to toss 4 balls into large cylinders. So I think I'd be the pilot and you would be pulling me. I feel like that's the choice.
I feel like that's a good one.
No, they didn't figure out how to make it work. So they had to start from like climb up the scaffold. I didn't understand still though. Was it so that they could just like have like the weight to pull it down so they can be hoisted up?
So I thought like they had to go up, and then that would like sort of release the slack on the rope, so that the rope could go back, and you could run back and forth with the rope on the opposite side of what they are, so that you're going to keep them swinging. But there was only like a few teams that were actually like moving with the thing. They would just like, some teams were going like this, just standing there, and others didn't even hold on to the rope.
Yeah, like, okay, well, that works. They're just like kind of tossing the ball up to their partner. It didn't seem like a challenging detour or whatever it was. It didn't seem hard, but some people had a lot of trouble. Like, I wonder if the balls were super heavy. They didn't look heavy.
Yeah. I think the ones that had trouble were the ones that didn't figure out what they were supposed to do with the rope. Like it seemed like some of them were just sort of throwing it and not getting anywhere close to the tubes. I also noticed that the order of arrival for the teams and then who completed it, and like it was all messed up. So something happened in the editing there, because like some teams were there and then you never actually really saw them leave, and it was very confusing as to where people were. So I think like something happened with the filming here where we didn't get to see everything that happened, because there were teams that didn't leave before other teams, but they were up on the ropes while the other people were in the line. And I was like, was there a penalty?
I definitely found it was challenging to keep track of the teams. It could be because I don't know their names yet, so I wasn't like keeping a tally. Like, okay, so and so is here, and so is at the detour, and so you know what I mean. Like, I don't know them well enough yet, so maybe that's why it was a little more confusing. I know that so Jaskarat and Anurag were there first. Sefa and Jessica were there second. That's what I wrote down. With their self-deprecating humor. They're saying that she was going to be basically Indiana Jones mixed with Miley Cyrus Wrecking Ball. I did have a little chuckle there as she was being swung back and forth. It was funny. Then we get introduced to Sky Blue and Jake, their siblings, and Sky Blue has I think it was a birth defect that she didn't have a fully formed hand. But both of them had such positive energy. Like, and they seem like they are just really happy to be, partners together and on this race. Like, I was really, really rooting for them in the beginning stages. Like when I first met them, they were very likable, very likable. So I don't even know. So Steph and Jessica, I believe, left first, though, from Wrecking Ball, correct? Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
So they're going to the Detour, and that's at the Exchange Hotel, and they have to decide between food or beer. Couldn't they have maybe come up with a better, Detour name? Food or beer. Like,
that's one step above this or that. Like,
couldn't they be like, even like beer or bar? No, they say shrimp on the bar. I don't know. They could have done something.
Shrimp or serve.
Poop shoot or like something that rhyme with poop shoot, Anyways, somebody on the creative team maybe needs to be rehired because it wasn't innovative for me. So they had to basically choose between carrying 7 beers that were full quite to the brim without having a lot of head on the beer, like through kind of a maze through this bar, pub, upstairs, downstairs, around corners and whatnot without making it go below the line. And then the other option was to peel shrimp. So peel and devein, I forget how much, like a kilo, half kilo?
Yeah. I mean, it was quite a big bucket.
A big bucket. What would you have chosen to do?
I think I would have probably said, let's do the beverage one. I think, yeah. I mean, it was pretty easy to understand what it would be, at least from what it sounded like. I hope that we wouldn't have the problems that the Cowboys had at that point.
Okay. Speaking of are we there yet? We're almost there. So Jaskerat and Anurag was second. The Cowboys were third. So basically, Jessica and Sefa, they did the shrimp peeling. They're really good at it. They're pretty fast at it. She's a professional shrimp peeler, apparently. And then when Jaskerat and Anurag got there, Sefa kind of showed them what they needed to do when they were taking the pooper shoot. And Jessica was quite irritated by him giving up that information. What did you think about?
Yeah, I mean, it's round one and you're up at the front of the pack. I don't know if it's worth showing your cards too soon. I think she should have been at least a little bit quieter. She seemed to be talking on at her normal voice that she was quite upset about that. So I'm like, you don't want people to know that you don't want to share information. Like, at least
it's like almost bad as not sharing. Like, you're not share, or if you're gonna share, don't share. Like,
yeah, don't show people you're put off.
Exactly. Now,
but I agree with her. I mean, they're doing well. They want to win. Like.
Now, one thing though is that we've learned that sometimes sharing information is helpful. Yeah. So I'm wondering because what we learned later on is that they're also very helpful within the task. So maybe it will benefit them later being generous here. So I'm giving him a pass because there's only one person there, and it seemed like it could have built a little bit of an alliance between them, kind of unspoken, like, you help me, I'll help you in the future. So I'm giving it a pass, but I wouldn't.
I feel like the guys are running this race, or like, I already got the vibe from the guys that they're going to run this race like nice guys. Like, I like, if we said who's going to be the villain team here, they're like the least likely, in my opinion, to be the villain team. Like, I think that they're going to be running this really nice, fair race. So in that regard, you don't tell them you don't want to help them, because they are going to help you. So
if you say they're the least villainous, who's the most villainous, would you say?
Well, right now I'm getting vibes that Holly and Delore.
Oh,
I think that
are just terrible racers.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I got a vibe off him that he's going to get irritated by the other teams.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm thinking I can see that. So that's a very plausible villain emergence of a team. But I'm thinking the twins, because they seem to have a little bit of an ego. I can see them being like, well, it's in the rules, we can do it. Like, and just having a little bit of that, I'll U-turn you. It's in the rules. I don't know. I can see them being a team that might be kind of mean to the other teams a little bit.
Yeah, I could see that.
So the Cowboys are at the beer, and I was giving them so much hope in the beginning, and then they started taking off the beer off the counter, off the tray, and putting it on the bar ledge. And then they basically moved the people that were sitting at the bar drinking out of the way so they can put a tray down. Where was the confusion in the clue?
Well, I don't think it was in the clue, the confusion. I think the clue knew what it was doing. I just don't think they did. I thought it was really, I mean, it would have been great to be a customer in the bar. Like, I mean, you're getting free drinks from these guys. Like, they were just handing them out. But
It's so bizarre. like no matter what, that's not what you're going to be doing.
yeah, like nothing in the clue in it said, and serve the customers the drinks. Like,
The customers at the bar where you pick up your beverages. Like, I thought it must say go through a labyrinth, whatever. Finally, though, they see an arrow and they figure out that they have to move with these trays through this pub. Now, do you think that they got it on their first try moving around, or do you think they only showed them getting there the first time?
Based on the challenge, I kind of feel like a lot of the teams probably did get it on the first try. It didn't seem like it was overly, like, they weren't, the stairs were probably like the hardest part, but there wasn't like go over things or get past people or anything like that. So it wasn't too difficult.
Yeah. Just to walk like kind of slowly and stably. Yeah, it wasn't really hard, but some people did have a little bit of trouble with it. So that's why I'm kind of wondering if we didn't get to see some of the missteps.
Maybe.
But so Safa and Jessica finished first over at the Shrimp. And so they're off to a pretty good start. I was like, wow, look at you guys go. Like, I love seeing an unexpected power team emerge. So I was happy to see them leave first. And they're going to go to the Mossman Sugar Mill. That's what their route info is saying. And so they had to find, in a stack of sugar cane, they had to find a set of silver tongs. Once they get the tongs, they have to go and search through a mound of sugar and find a sugar cube. And then they use the tongs to take that sugar cube to a giant teacup. I feel like so later on in the day, the teacup part kind of didn't happen. They just gave it to the guy.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much what they had to do. Easy, but can be challenging for sure.
Can be challenging. Can be one of those frustrating challenges, right? Like if people come in and then they just pass you and you're not finding it, that kind of thing can be the bothering part. I don't know. It felt weird that they like had two find it. Like, why not just do the one? But I don't know. I guess we did learn about Australia. I never would have pictured sugar cane as something to deal with Australia. So we learned something.
Oh, definitely. I wouldn't have thought so either at all.
Yeah.
So we learned, though, that Jobel and Rani, so they are a father-daughter team, and they are having a little bit of trouble navigating their vehicle, and they're not able to find where they're going to do the bombs away. So I felt really bad because they're telling their story. She has a brother that has spastic paraplegia. I'm not exactly sure what the terms of that condition are, but it seems from what it says, spastic, kind of random, not
yeah.
I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. And paraplegia, I mean, maybe not like various times.
Muscles. Yeah.
Functionality of limbs is what I would assume that means. Yeah. Which is really saddening though, that's who they're racing for. And, the father was saying that sometimes he wishes that he could take the condition that his son has for him because he's lived a good life and he just wants his son to live a good life. And so they're racing for him. There's no cure as of right now, but I guess they want to find a way to give him a more comfortable life. So It was very honorable that they're there. And I was like, oh gosh, they're in the back. I don't want them to leave yet. I definitely didn't want that to happen. So they were in the back of the pack, but they do eventually get to the Bombs Away challenge. And he does get up there on the father. And we have Jobel, pulling him, but he was having a lot of trouble getting the ball into the cylinder. So they eventually decide to take the time penalty.
Yeah.
Now, what did you think about this decision of taking the time penalty?
Now, see, it's tough because we don't see everything, but one thing I noticed was like she, like almost instantly when they kept going back to them, she never seemed to have the rope in her hand. Like, so I think that they needed to read the clue again and just remember everything like that they were supposed to do. Cause he wasn't moving.
Right.
Like he was just up there and then just like, I mean, that would just be a complete luck shot if you could get that in. So I wish that they had at least read the clue and tried how they were supposed to do it. Now, they may have been tired and all of that, so maybe they only showed the shots when she wasn't holding it and that. I don't know, a penalty on the first leg, that's never a great thing, but yeah.
Now, what I think would have been a better idea, because when they got to the challenge, I believe there was nobody there already, correct? Or was there one team that was there and left?
They saw the teams coming out, and then there was one team, I think, still there. Dway's and Catherine? Dway and Catherine.
So if that were me, if I was going to take the penalty, I think I would have not even gotten strapped up and done it. I would have been like, okay, let's get out of here. Because who knows how long they took swinging and trying to make that work when they're just like getting further and further and further and further behind. So if I'm sure that they discussed taking penalties and stuff like that, because I don't think you would just spring up like being like, hey, let's just take a penalty. Like, I think while they're preparing for their game, they must have talked about it. Yeah. And I think that they should have just taken the penalty right before they even started it, personally.
Now, wasn't there, didn't they say though, like they hit the time limit and so they were forced to take the penalty in some ways?
Oh,
they're like, I thought they said something like that, like, oh, we had hit 2 hours or something, so we had to take the penalty.
I may have missed that, but I didn't hear that personally. If that's the case, then
what could they do?
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, they were last there for sure, and they left last. There was nobody around them when they left that part of the competition. So Ashley and Amanda, so they are, I think they're best friends. I don't know, they're like pretty athletic women. I don't know if they said what they did. Are they?
They said they were friends. I think they said that they were going to be excited to try and catch a cab by just flashing their smile.
Oh, that's true. That's true. They did say this. And they were trying to bargain with the gentleman over the beer. Because we never saw them show up at the beer, but we see them get to this point where they're trying. Yeah. They had a couple that were, half a centimeter below the red line. And the guy was like, no, but they're trying to bargain with him. He wasn't having it at all. Back at the sugarcane pile, Jaskirat and Anurag, they found the tongs first. They didn't seem to have that much trouble finding the tongs. And then they showed everybody what the tongs looked like. I was like, okay. I mean, it's beneficial now to, the other team with Jessica and Sefa. Because they had shared some information before. So it is beneficial. They were looking for something bigger than what they were. So it was helpful for them in the end. So they got paid back in dividends already, that's good. Yes. But yes. I was just like, don't show everybody, guys. Like, you got it. And just like, okay, it's a gear in this run. Nobody, they just were like, Yeah. And then they had to go to the pile of sugar. They were finding lots of lumps of caramelized sugar, and they were not sure what the sugar cube was going to look like. And in my head, I'm like, well, it's probably going to look like a cube, but who knows? So they take a risk, and they go and they take this caramelized sugar clump to the guy, and he's like, no, it's going to be a sugar cube. And so they went back and they started looking again. The twins show up at the stack of sugarcane. They kind of lay down in there and not really taking it that seriously. And they found it immediately.
There was a couple teams that found it like instantly. It felt like it's like, oh.
He's like flopped down, and he's like, oh, there you go, there it is, and they're off. I would have probably been really pissed off if I was one of the other two teams that were there for a while. Right. I think the Cowboys were already there. And then Jessica and Sefa were still there. Were there when the twins show up. But eventually, then back at the pile of sugar, Jaskirat and Anurag found their cube and show it to the judge. So they're on the way to their next point. Route info saying, make your way on foot to catch 20 cane toads and put it in a box.
Yeah.
Apparently, they had released toads to control the beetle population. And so what was it, 1 billion toads now are in like that?
Yeah. So
area?
actually, I had heard, what's funny is I had actually heard this story before about how this is one of the main reasons why they don't like animals being transported between countries and stuff, is because of things like this, where animals will like grow in population and they can't do anything about it. And so yeah, they Australia had this problem with toads, and apparently it was quite a big problem at one point. Like it was just like, what do we do with all these toads, because they had all these beetles, and now they have all these toads.
You know what that reminds me of? In Magnolia. You know, like when they're like when it was raining frogs at the end?
Yeah.
I'm just like, so I don't know if I've seen like really small toads like this big before, but I've never seen those ones. I found them to be quite cute.
They were cute. They are poisonous, but yeah.
No, like how did they become poisonous? Because people were in there with their bare feet. Is it like
I think
back?
it's the saliva on them, right? I believe. I think if you get the saliva in wounds and stuff, then you can get quite sick, I think.
I mean, I heard them say poisonous, but I'm like, this doesn't seem very precautionary, but no. I guess they don't have any teeth. So yeah, the Cowboys though are still at the sugarcane mound. They were third when they got there, and now they've been there for over 50 minutes. The Twins, since they got to the sugar cube, and they didn't seem to have any trouble there at all. So they're second right now. They're doing quite well. They didn't seem to have any trouble with any parts of this race, this episode. So they also received the route info. Who does this? Sorry. Well, they have to go to the toads. Anyways, both them, Jaskirat and the Twins have to go to the Screaming Toads. And then I believe that Jaskirat and Anurag, Jaskirat and Anurag, they got the 20 toads in the box first. And then they got the route info to go to the edge of the rainforest, and they had to go there by foot. So they were starting to move towards the pit stop. And while the Twins were kind of hot in their tails going to toads.
Toads.
Jeez Louise. So Jaskirat and Anurag, they get there first. They were team number one. They're trying to make some suspense there that maybe the Twins were going to catch up or whatnot. I wasn't really bothered.
That's close.
Yeah, I didn't think it was close either, but they're trying to make it seem as though it was a foot race there, but I don't think it was. So they got there first, but the Twins did get there. I'm calling them the Twins. Their name is Alex and Jack, but they got their second.
The Twins.
And then what happened here? So Rami and Joe Bell, they were able to catch up pretty much right away. So which one did they do? Did they do shrimp or did they do beer?
They did they did the shrimp.
And with them at the shrimp station was still the moms and Dewis and Catherine, I believe. And they were able to still overtake them. But I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, but they still have this penalty that they're not sure about how long it's going to be. So they do have to push through really quickly. I was hoping though that it wasn't going to dishearten teams to like not try as hard once they knew that they're going to be last, just because of the fact that there was the penalty in play. So I hope that didn't affect the teams that were in the back, knowing like, we're probably going to be last anyway, so we don't need to try gun it as hard. So I hope not.
Yeah.
I said the toads.
Never slow down. Never slow down on purpose. That's never a good idea.
Never. I didn't really write down who did what. Who's Chris and Alicia again?
So Chris and Alicia, Alicia was the one who said she had done she had done character acting. She had like she said she was a dance teacher or something like that as well to the dancers.
And they're married for a year.
Yeah, yeah. They reminded me of last season on the last race, the nerdy
couple. Oh, your favorite team, Leo and Alana.
They remind me a little bit of Leo and Alana. So.
I mean, I didn't feel like we saw a lot from them, but if I'm not mistaken, they showed up there third. So
they got to the pit stop third. Yeah,
they're doing pretty well. Fourth up was Jordan and Violetta. And dancers. Dancers. Yes. Did they do both? Wait, Chris and Alicia and Jordan and Violetta. Which ones did they do at the?
They did. I know Jordan and Violetta did the beverage. I actually think that we never got to actually see what Chris and Alicia did.
Okay, I'm not confused here.
Yeah, I was because I was writing them down and then I'm like, where did that person go? I don't remember seeing them at all. So
they'll streamline this better next week. Shane and Deb, who I didn't even know who they were, but Shane and Deb, it seems as though they're a married couple, is what I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Seeming to be maybe a little bit older. We haven't heard anything about their story, but I feel like they might be married parents. I don't know. I feel like they have children, but I could be wrong. But married parents, they're team number 5, but we didn't see them at all this episode.
Not really, no. They just sort of like they were like a blip everything. They were completely in the middle of the pack.
Well, they were the last team that I was like, I thought there was 14 teams, and they're like, I still hadn't seen them. I'm like, oh, who's that? Who's that? Like, at the pit stop is when I saw their names for the first time. I believe they did the beverages as well. I'm not sure. I don't know.
No, they did the. I do know that they did the shrimp.
Okay, or the shrimp.
Yeah.
So they were team number 5. Sky Blue and Jake were in team number 6. They did the beer because he did comment on the fact that she was able to carry these 7 beers with one hand, which is impressive. Sepha and Jessica, even though they were doing a great job in the beginning, finding these tongs in a sugarcane stack, it was very problematic for them. So they fell to 7, but it's only halfway down. So
yeah,
not too bad, but they got to pick it up because I don't want them to go home.
These teams are all really close, like from 3rd to probably like 10th. They're all really close to one another.
Mm-hmm. Then we have Ashley and Amanda. They seem like they're. I don't know. I'm not sure if they're going to do well, but they're team number 8 here. They did well enough to be in the game still. They did the beer. They're the only team that I know for sure did it twice. Correct? It was them, right?
Yeah.
Then we have team. I'm gonna call them.
And they struggled with frogs as well. They struggled with the
true. They counted the frogs incorrectly and putting them in the box, so they had to do that again, which I think is it's only 20. It's not like it was like 10,244 and you did 45. Like it was 20. Why are you laughing?
That's fantastic. It's so true. So true.
Like you can look down though and count them without, you know what I mean? It's not, anyways. The fact that they made a mistake, I was like, I don't know. I don't know how much I trust you as someone that's going to go on my team. So then we have coming in, I'm going to call them Team Messy Lovers. That's going to be Holly Detour because I think that they love each other, but they don't really like each other.
Yeah, I think the relationship we're going to see is a bit more dramatic than some relationships, and I think I don't know. Like I was very confused. Why does he even have a massager that it's that big that keeps falling out of his back? Backpack.
Like when you have Hung and Chi sharing one backpack and one toothbrush, and he has a shoulder massager,
right? And that kept falling out, and just like they were really already snapping at each other with directions. Like, well, I've been right this many times, and I'm like, oh, we're this is the team that I'm like concerned about, because I'm like, and I think that they could be villains, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, she's very patient. I know she gives it back to him a little bit, but like, I would never be able to have my partner on the race snip at me in the way that he does, because he's not even like he's really good. Like, if he was like really amazing at everything, like, and she was always trying to like, oh, like, I'm sorry, like, I'm trying to do my best. Like, he's not great. So it's like, why does he have so much attitude and not want to listen at all? What?
Did you think with him, because like when they did the announcements, a little bit of who they were, his story was that his background was that he's a Nigerian prince. Do you think like that way of upbringing may be he's used to getting things his way? Sort of?
I do.
Yeah.
100% do. I know a few people with similar backgrounds that have problems with the people that I know that have been in relationships with them, because they're Canadian and they don't really have the same mentality of like how to interact within relationships. So I do think his background might be why he's acting a little bit a certain way. And why we don't appreciate it or like it or want to accept it, because it's not really familiar to us. I don't know. That's not all. I know just maybe a handful of people that are similar. Maybe a little bit of background might be why he feels that he can speak to his partner like this. You know? Yeah. I mean, I wish the best, but like, does she really want to marry him? I'd be like, yeah. No, thank you. Next, who's gonna win this race? I'll marry you. So Jude and Janet are next. Who are they again?
Jude and Shannon.
Oh, Shannon. Why did I put Janet?
I don't know.
I don't know. Why did I put Janet? I have Shannon on the other page. But
there's no Janet.
No Janet. Maybe I thought she reminded me of a Janet.
Maybe.
That's why I'm like, Jude and who was that? So they're the moms. They're the likable moms. They seem like they're there for a good time. Not necessarily going to be a super competitive team, but they're probably going to win the hearts of the audience. You know, we're probably going to be rooting for them because they're going to try hard and you're going to want them to do well. So they came in 10th. And then we have Jobel and Rani. So they were able to do the frogs seemingly pretty quickly. And they get to the pit stop 11th place, but they have to wait out a 30-minute penalty. I thought that was quite short.
Yeah, so then that makes me then wonder about the whole like max out of time. And so then they were like, and then you'll get another penalty if you max out on time. And maybe the option was, or you can quit and you have a bigger penalty or something.
Like 4 hours. Because I thought if you 4 hours, usually if you just like jump a task. Yeah. So maybe they didn't jump the task because they didn't want to wait 4 hours, but they knew if they timed out, then they'd only have to wait maybe half an hour. Right. But I do feel that, or I think I heard that they have like a book of like rules of the game. So like they know in advance like time penalties and stuff like that. So I think that they were making an educated decision when they actually left. It wasn't a rush. So that's wait for 30 minutes. Then Milan and Tina. So they're I believe two friends. Milan.
Yeah, I think their relationship was friends. I think so.
They didn't really show them this race or this leg. Seemingly likable, but I'm not sure at all about how they are as competitors, really. But they ended up being team number 11 just because Jobel and Ronnie were waiting out the time. And then we have Brendan and Jackson. So the Cowboys finally make it to the match, and they were 12th. Oh,
which is big. I mean,
sorry, go ahead.
At one point, they were in second.
I know.
They went down to 12th just because they couldn't find stuff. Like,
I mean, I doubt there's going to be more finding tasks moving. Maybe one more, match it up, find it kind of thing. But there's not going to be another needle in the haystack. They did 2 this one, so it's like we're good. We got it. Some people are better at looking for things than others. That's good. What they wanted to say though about Holly and Delore was he made her do the frogs. I was pissed at that. I was like, buddy, get in there and do the frogs.
Yeah.
And she's like, ugh, and she just goes and does it. And it didn't seem like that. And he was still screaming and kind of jumping up and down and like flinching. It's not really good for his case for me right now. I'm just like, he needs to better himself up because I'm not on his team right now, or I'm not a fan. So then Duas and Catherine were still kind of a bit behind. Couldn't really tell how far behind they were. Ronnie and Jobel left the shrimp, and Duas and the moms were still there, I believe. And so it just seemed as though they weren't too far behind, but obviously we know editing is editing. And I was really rooting for Duas and Catherine to stay in this episode, in this race. I didn't want Ronnie and Jobel to leave either. And I was like, I didn't know what was going to happen. And then the host checks in Jobel and Ronnie before Duas and Catherine got to the mat. I was bummed, but happy bummed.
Yeah.
So yes, Duas and Catherine were the first team eliminated from The Amazing Race. Now, what would you have expected them to be the first eliminated team?
I wasn't getting strong team vibe off of them. I know that when they were doing the search, I was feeling like, ooh, they're already starting to really break down. Like they seem to be sort of blaming one another on what was going on, and I don't know. I wasn't really seeing them as a strong contender to win the whole thing. I think what the sad thing will be is I think that they probably would have been good characters for the show to make it entertaining.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to see them a little bit more, especially I believe he was speaking about the fact that in their community, which was called, what was the name? Kathleen? No, what's the Kathleen community? I think it was called. I believe that's the Aboriginal community where they're from, and I believe they're also cousins. And so in his package, it says that he's like one of the only openly gay men within their community. And there's he was doing like a lot of modeling of different kind of the juxtaposition that he's in between being a gay man and then also part of his heritage and culture. So I would have been very interested to learn more about him and see more about their relationship. So we'll just say there's good casting that I didn't want anybody to go today.
Yeah.
Maybe the Cowboys I didn't care for.
Yeah. I'm okay with them going, but I'm not losing sleep.
Okay. I'm glad you're not losing sleep, Phil. I'm going to lose sleep here.
I'll keep watching. I'm okay. I'm not going to riot.
Now I'm trying to find a pen. Oh, here's one. Okay. So we were thinking, people, that we're going to have a little, since I was the winner last season, did I get a prize?
Being amazing.
Oh, right. Of course. So I had 2 out of 3 of my players be in the final 3 for the Amazing Race US last season. Phil won. And because I'm so generous here, with our draft, I am going to give you the opportunity to either go first or tell me to go first. So you choose. We'll be doing a snake draft. So if you go first, I will get second and third. You'll get fourth and fifth, back and forth.
Right. I am.
Go to, I guess, 12, and there'll be someone left out, or 2 people left out, but one's just due, I think.
Okay. Yeah, because right now we're down to 13, so we'll go to 12, and then we'll have I think last season we had one team that we didn't pick
for the audience.
Yes, for the audience to go, oh, you guys are both wrong. Okay, well, you know what? I think out of fairness, you won last time, so I'm going to put it back to you, and I'm going to say you pick if you want to go first or if you want to go second.
Well, then
because you won.
Go second.
Okay. All right. I'm going to surprise you with my first pick.
Okay, so you're going to do something terrible. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, maybe they're going to be it may be a big mistake, or this is going to be completely pulled out of nowhere, I don't know, but there was a team that gave me vibes that they're at least going to go far. And I don't know why, but I got a good vibe from them. And you're gonna pull a face as soon as I say who it is.
Okay, I'll see if I can try not to pull it.
Okay. I'm going with Chris and Alicia.
No, that's a good team. That's a good pick. Why would
Okay. I thought that you would be like, because I said that they were like Leo and Alana, and I wasn't a huge fan of Leo and Alana. But I don't know. I got good vibes. I got good vibes off of them.
Well, this is I think that they're definitely a good pick. When they came in third, I was like, oh, I wasn't really thinking of you as being a front running team, but they might be calm. They might work well together. They didn't seem, from what we could see, as a couple that's going to fight a lot. It seems as though they were quite supportive of one another from the mini clips we saw. So I think that they're an excellent pick. I think that they will at least do well for a good majority of the game. I don't see them being at the back or being at risk of going home, at least for a while. I do feel as though they could make friendships and alliances with other people that might help them, move further along in the race. They're going to be likable, most likely. So I think that they have good longevity, and they're going to get better at racing the longer that they're in the game. So I think they're a good pick.
Okay.
It's a great pick.
Well, you get two picks here.
Okay. I don't know if this is going to be surprising or not, but I'm going to choose Sky Blue and Jake as my first pick. Now, I already kind of gave them good praise when we spoke about them briefly during the recap. But what I've found with people that have been born with any sort of difficulties, we'll say, that they always excel in a lot of different things because they always have to work harder than the average person just to be at status quo. And so I feel as though because she has something that others would consider to limit her, that she's going to do well and excel more than other people that are both limb-abled, we'll say. So I feel, because like there's, I don't know if you watch no, you don't watch the challenge, but there's this guy, Jordan, on the challenge, and he only really has one hand, and it's basically just like kind of like knuckles, and he has like a thumb, but he is one of the best competitors that show has ever seen, because he never wanted to feel as though he couldn't do what everybody else could do because he didn't have a full second hand. So I think that her having this, growing up with this, it wasn't something that was kind of removed. It was something that she's learned to adapt to her entire life. I think that she will have the drive, and she'll push herself a little bit further than the other person, just because she's always had to work a little bit harder just to be at equal. So that's why I want to choose her. Just if I look at anybody else that have had similar kind of disabilities, they usually do really, really well. So I
think that's a great pick. I'm going to also throw into that I actually think the other good thing for that team is he is also a strong partner, and and they have this great energy, the two of them, like as siblings. Sibling pairs can be really good at this if they get along really well, because they don't put up with the drama. They know each other's faults. Yeah, I mean, this could be a good pick.
I hope so. I want to see them do well for sure. Who am I going to pick next? I think this is going to be... No, I'm going to go with this one. I am going to go with Alex and Jack, twin model brothers. So the reason why I'm going with them, two men in a team generally do quite well in the race. There will be times where strength is going to come into play, and having two men on a team, sometimes it could be beneficial to get some tasks done more quickly, just because of how men's bodies are distributed, like muscle wise. They are physically capable of doing different things that women can do. And I think that they might be able to do well. just because they have they seem to be fit. They are obviously going to be able to think alike. You know, identical twins have that secret language. They're going to be able, I think they're going to be able to do decently well. And being at the head of the pack at the first leg, I think is going to give them confidence, which might make them evolve into a supervillain. But if they're in front, I don't care. Be a supervillain.
That's right. They could win. They could still win.
Exactly. So that's my second pick. What do you think about the twins?
I think that they're strong. I think again. I mean, that's another look at that. 2 sibling teams. You know, I think they could do very well. Definitely in the tasks. Yeah, and they seem resourceful. No, I think that they're a good team.
All right, you got 2.
Okay, so I picked a guy-girl team. I think I'm going to go with a guy-guy team and a girl-girl team for my next 2 picks. So I'm going to take the team that's in the lead right now. I'm going to take Jessica and Energa?
Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. I think I need to listen more to hear.
They haven't mentioned their names that often.
No. So, but that is the first team I'm going with. Obviously, they won the first leg. They're strong. They have great energy. I think teams are going to actually fall in love with them, and they're not going to hurt this team. I don't think they're ever going to be really in trouble of being yielded. They could also make an alliance if we go that route. I think that people would want to work with that team. So
I was debating between them, obviously, and the twins. The only reason why I chose the twins over them is just because I think that they might be too nice. And so I can see them being the consideration of the other teams, maybe like just one team too many, and then they miss the boat and they're last and they go home. So I don't know if they have the cutthroat part of the race that I think is needed to be a top finisher at the end. So that's the only reason why I'm hesitant, but I think they're a great pick.
And you know, we don't know what's coming up, right? Like there could be twists. I actually didn't watch the last season of the Australian Amazing Race, but so I don't know what do they do when it comes to other things in the race. So they could be targeted too. So who knows? Girl team, I thought that they did quite well. Their placement at the end wasn't that spectacular, but I thought that they did quite well in the race in general, and they seem to have good energy. I'm going with Ashley and Amanda. So the friends there. I think that there's a chance that there could be this storyline brewing about these 2 girls who are in it for fun and might go surprise themselves along the way of just how good they are at some of these challenges. So,
okay, I mean, I was hoping that they would have done better. I have to see how they're gonna do. Right now, they're just kind of like, I don't know. I don't know if your guys are gonna be great at a lot of things. I don't know if I have any faith in them yet. I'm interested to see how they progress in the race, but they don't have winner vibes on me yet.
Okay.
But right now, no. Next up for me, I think I'm going to go for Safa and Jessica.
I knew it.
Because I wanted to go over them earlier, but I did want to get some of those other teams first.
Yeah.
I feel as though if the physical attribute is not part of the leg, I think that they're very capable of doing very, very well. So it really just depends on how much endurance they're going to be needing. They seem to work well together. They seem to be enjoying working together, even though they have their little kind of banter. And they're likable, and they've showed a lot this episode. And so I'm wondering if they're going to be one of the narrators because they're going to be here for a while, you know?
I got that vibe. that they're going to be around for a while. So.
Right? And like, I can see them like just like maybe like having a couple like, oh, we're last, but non-elimination leg. Like I could just see them being around for a while. And if they get to the final 3, I could see them being fortunate enough to figuring out how to get to the end and win. So I have faith in them doing well. I know that, they are worried most about their physical capabilities, but I think that they can do well in spite of those.
Good pick.
Thank you. And
I would have picked them. They were coming. They were on my list.
I wouldn't have left them for you. I think next I'm going to do the Dancing X's, Jordan and Violetta.
Oh, yes.
The reason why I'm picking them, dancers usually have good balance. There might be dance tasks. They will probably have musicality and stuff like that. So I think that they might offer some skill sets that other teams may not have that could be beneficial, especially if they're only doing things in Australia. They're going to test every single part of you. So I do feel that they might have some talents that will be helpful for some of these legs. And they used to be dating. So, I mean, it was I think they said high school, but they know each other pretty well, I'm sure. And they're still friends. So I feel like they will be able to work together quite well. And if they were dancing partners, they can flow together. They can move together. They have like a rhythm and a vibe together. So that I think will be helpful for them in the race.
I mean, I felt that was a hard decision to determine how you felt that they were going to do because we didn't really get to know them too well.
Mm-hmm.
My worry for them is just like, why did they break up? And is there a reason why they didn't work out that could affect them on the race? Like, is there
like she probably moved away to go to uni. You know what I mean?
Well, if that's it, then who cares? They're probably still fine. But like, if there's communication issues or stuff like that, then you got some issues coming up. But
I don't think so. They didn't give me that vibe, but who freaking knows? Okay, you got these are your last 2? Yeah. Last 2, and then I get 1.
So going off of, in case this is a really crazy physical race and it's nothing else but worrying about athleticism and all of that, I'm going to go with Brendan and Jackson just to be safe, just in case. Because I have a feeling that when it comes to like those strength tasks, they're going to do quite well. My worry is it's not going to be all about that. And then we're going to get into some puzzles and stuff like that. And it's going to be like, I don't know. But the fact that they couldn't find the flag in the bar right in front of them, that scares me a little. But I don't see them going too soon. So, wow. I'm basing this off of nothing because we didn't really get to meet this team much, but they seemed like they were quite athletic. I'm going to go with Milan and Tina. Maybe we'll get to know them. Maybe there's a reason they didn't show too much about them. Maybe they're going to grow on us or something. But yeah.
No, I totally agree with you. Like they look like they could potentially be very athletic. They didn't show them doing poorly, so I was very surprised that they finished so poorly. I would have hoped that we could have seen maybe how they communicated or like if they got frustrated with each other just a little bit, just so we can see why they might have come in 11th or end up being 11th. Yeah. So, but they do look like they're physically very athletic. So hopefully that will come into play for them. Does worry me though that they didn't get very much camera time, so maybe they didn't care to develop the story about them because they're not going to be there for that long. Yeah. So curious, but I don't know if it's just because they had other people to focus on this episode more so.
Right.
I like them though, and I'm curious to see how they're going to do in this race. Now here's me with my Sophie's Choice over here.
Okay, so you get you actually get 2 more picks, and then I get 1, and then there's 1 left
Oh, really? I thought
for the audience.
who's left? Oh, them. Oh,
Yeah,
them. Hold on. There's them.
Holly and Delore, Jobel and Ronnie, Jude and Shannon, and Shane and Deb.
Who? Shane? Oh, right. I don't have those people
written. The team you keep forgetting.
Okay, and who's the 4th one you said?
So Holly and Delore, Jobel and Ronnie, Jude and Shannon, Shane and Deb.
4. So I get 2. You get 1. No, really? Then, I went second. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna take the 2 couples. So I'm gonna take Jobel. No, sorry, I'm gonna take Holly and Delore. Okay. I don't know if they're gonna do that well, but I think that his ego is quite big, and so I could see him wanting to do well, and her wanting them to do well. They might be able to figure it out. I also see him giving up and like quitting as well. So this is a risky team I'm going to be taking here, but I'm still going to go for it. So Holly and Delore.
Okay, I'm okay with that pick, especially with who's left. I think that does make sense. I agree. There is a possibility that the story for them will be they go through all of this and they grow together, and he learns that she can do stuff, and they trust each other, and that we've seen that before in the race where somebody is not sure if the other one can keep up, and then they prove themselves. So that's possible. I'm going to get the vibe that he's going to get frustrated with other teams if he doesn't get his way.
Yes. But we'll see. Hopefully they're going to grow. So I'm just going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm curious in their story. I want to see them do well and overcome what I'm assuming about them. And then I'm going to go for the team that I forgot. I'm going to take Shane and Deb. Don't know what they're capable of. They finished. Where do they finish? They finished pretty high. They finished 5th. Yeah, of course I'm taking them. I'm taking Shane and Deb. That placement is excellent. They're seemingly married couple. If they have children, it's kind of like, hung and chi. Yeah. They're a married couple and they have some kids. Like their communication is going to be probably pretty good, or they're going to be able to teach each other about things. Like I have faith in married couples that have been together for a while, especially if they have children, to be able to communicate well in the race. So I have high spirits for them, but I'd have no idea anything about them because I don't even know if they spoke this episode.
I don't. They weren't. I think they were wearing orange. That's what I got from them. Maybe.
No clue.
Oh, all right. Well, my last pick, I'm going to pick just because I like to cheer on underdogs. I'm going to go with Jude and Shannon. I'm gonna cheer for the moms. Hope that they can pull it off and really surprise me. Unfortunately, I think both Jude and Shannon and Jobel and Ronnie are I would love to see either of them go really far, but I don't know if we're going to see that. So,
yeah, I mean, I do feel as though Jude and Shannon have a better chance of going further than Jobel and Ronnie. Yeah. Yes, they made the smart decision to be able to try to catch up to the other teams, and it worked out for them. But for them to fall so far behind on the first challenge, where we both thought it was quite easy, that's problematic for faith in them doing well moving down the way. So I don't see them at the front of the pack in this whole game. Ever.
There we go.
Okay, so your list is, you got Chris and Alicia, you got Jaskarat and Anurag, you have Ashley and Amanda, Brendan and Jackson, Milan and Tina, Jude, and Shannon. And then
That
I
is
have
right.
Sky Blue and Jake, Alex and Jack, Safa and Jessica, Jordan and Violetta, Holly and Delore, and Shane and Deb.
And
I
the
mean,
audience gets
like
Joe
my
Bell and Ronnie.
I feel like I have a winning.
I'm happy with my teams. I like this.
I feel like you got Team Underdog over there. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing you. And the audience gets, you're right, Joe Bell and Ronnie. So, I mean, it was a great first start. I'm interested in seeing how the season progresses. But you have a little survey for us to dabble in?
Yes, we do. So, like last season's Amazing Race, we thought we'd do a weekly survey. So, Chantele will put it into the poll. Into the comments or description, and you'll be able to fill in and let us know what you're thinking of Amazing Race Australia. So, first question was, which team were you most surprised to see do well?
Definitely like Askarad and Anurag coming in. I didn't expect them to be coming in first when they first started.
Yeah.
They were very surprising to me. Let me just see the order of people to the pit stop. Obviously, Shane and Deb getting fifth. I just realized that now. Was surprising. And even the twins.
Jessica, yeah. Jessica for maybe not the end, but for what they were doing based on at the beginning when they were like, we're not going to be the athletic people. We're not going, and then they were like in the lead like for a while. So them as well.
Agreed.
Which leg one task was the hardest? The bombs away, the food detour, the beverage detour, the sugar tong and sugar cube search, or the frog boxing?
I think the sugar cane tong search was the hardest out of all of them. It seems as though they blended in better than people expected. And we couldn't tell specifically, but it seemed that they didn't take as long at the pile of sugar. So sugarcane is my thoughts here.
Yeah.
And maybe
I would take that, or the bombs away, maybe. Yeah. They weren't particularly hard, but yeah, that was probably the most physical out of the ones. Were you surprised with the elimination?
I thought that Joe Bell and Ronnie were going to go home until I heard that the penalty was only 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Then I was like, oh, okay. Now I was just curious. I was just thinking, like, did they change that because they wanted Ronnie to stay, or Joe Bell and Ronnie to stay? I don't know, but I was surprised. I thought that we would have gotten a little bit more of Duis and Catherine.
Yeah.
I didn't think it would be them that was out there.
Which remaining team do you think will get the villain at it?
So yeah, we already talked about this a little bit, but Holly and Delore and the twins are up there on who might not be friends with everybody.
Yeah. We put this in again. Who is your all-time favorite Amazing Race team? Just so we could get to know our audience and who's on.
Still love Luke.
Yeah, that's still your favorite?
I've always was really rooting for them every time they came back. So they put a smile on my face. I like seeing their dynamic. I always wanted him to do well. So I can't think of anybody right now that's overtaken that role yet, but there's a lot of teams that I've liked.
Oh yeah. And what team do you think will win? Well, we've sort of picked our top ones, so
win.
There we go.
So I think Sky Blue and Jake's gonna win.
I would say Chris and Alicia.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
It is. Well, thanks, Phil, for chatting with me about this inaugural episode.
Definitely.
Do you have anything right now that you want to talk about?
Not really. Nothing too crazy. Join us on Thursday for Drag Race UK recaps. I love doing those with you. And I think you said we were going to try and do these at 6, right? Amazing Race Australia.
And then do it continually on Mondays. Is that what we figured out?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to catch up to where we are in the season. I believe we're on episode 6 right now this week, I believe. So I think by next Monday we can catch up and then just be doing it weekly. So join us then here tomorrow. So tomorrow around 2 p.m. Eastern, I believe I'll be doing the Bachelorette recap with Tanya. And then at 6 p.m., Phil and I will do episode 2 of The Amazing Race Australia. And then Wednesday, Amazing Race Australia, episode 3. Thursday, will we be doing both? Or do you want to skip a day and do it on the weekend? It doesn't matter.
We'll see. We'll see. Yeah.
All right, so that's what we're intending.
Find out on Wednesday.
We'll see what we decide to have happen. Well, thank you for joining us. We're enjoying this season so far, so we're happy to have you here with us. Please, subscribe if you can down below. We love having you be a part of our little Reality Realness with 3 S's family. Please, and also leave some comments. We love talking to you. Fill out the survey, please, so we can have some good material to chit-chat about tomorrow. Other than that, I think that's all she wrote. Anything else? Is that it?
I think we're good. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.